It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day, and it's day one at our son, daughter-in-law, and grandbaby Lucy's in Claremont, California, up in Los Angeles. We've got Luke, Hannah, Cully, Terry's on her way. Greg, of course, is here. I even have some volunteer help, and there'll be cameos from time to time from John's father-in-law, Marianne's dad, Peter. So you'll get to meet Pete. Grandpa Pete. But so much to unpack, you guys. All right, so let's start with soil. This is 15 yards, which we had delivered and dumped yesterday. And then I spent the day moving it one shovelful at a time so that I could create, some mounded vignettes with some really loose pathways. But I really want you to see this. I have no master plan. I don't have a rendering or a diagram. This is all in real time. And if you're anything like me and you design instinctually, don't be intimidated by this process. Have faith. This is 15 yards of soil in an 1,100 square foot garden space and 10-ton of honey quartz boulders, which Bart delivered early this morning. He placed, you never know it right now, but it looks like a dinosaur came in here and crapped, doesn't it? But anywho, it's okay. These are all going to get moved around, but he did stage some of the larger ones for us so we didn't have to break our backs. Greg spent yesterday, while I was moving dirt, he was fixing irrigation, and it was more whack-a-mole. He would cap something, and that would accentuate pressure in the line, and another break would appear down further. And so he was just fixing it, capping and repairing, capping and repairing, capping and repairing. But one thing that we noticed here in Claremont, there are a lot of these arroyo rock, these little goose eggs that you see in this raised bed retainer and what Hannah's pointing at right now, all in this soil. It's like Scripps Ranch on crack. There is so much rock in the dirt. So that's another reason to bring in copious amounts of amended topsoil. This is a 70-30 blend that we got from Wolfenbarger, if I'm saying that correctly. It's a Rock Yard local up here. And it was only $27 a yard. So I was going to get 10 yards, but then I said, heck, let's get 15. And my son said YOLO, and it was done. So here we are with 15 yards of soil, some basic pathways. Oh, yes, and the elephant in the room are Desert Museum Palo Verde, which our very own Cullen curated for us from a nursery in Vista called Devil Mountain. Devil Mountain. So this is where I have decided to put my tree. Why? Why here? Well, first of all, before you plant a tree, people think, and do your homework. How big is this tree going to get? There's blonde Terry. Yay, Terry. How big is the tree going to get? Take into consideration the proximity of your home, the neighbors, borrowed landscape, trees that are in the vicinity, and plant accordingly. In a perfect world, once your tree is planted, you should never touch it. Don't beat it to crap. Don't cut its limbs off. Don't pollard it. Don't, would you like it if somebody came and cut your arm off? No. Conformationally, trees aren't like succulents. They need to be left to do what they do. All pruning should happen at the very, very early stages and within a year or two of planting at most to train it. Beyond that, never prune. So this is why this Desert Museum is going here. It isn't directly in the center, because I always like things left or right of center. It's staged far enough back that it isn't going to infringe on the sidewalk. It's not going to compete with this sidewalk tree of unknown origin here. It's not going to compete with the house, and the branches aren't going to hit the house, nor will they impact the neighbors. So that's the strategy. This is east over here, so this window gets just blinding sunlight in the early morning. And of course in Claremont here it gets quite hot in the summer. So the idea is for this Palo Verde, which will grow to be 30, 40, maybe even 50 feet canopy, to provide some beautiful shade for the entire front yard area. So lots to do. We're going to start by planting our tree. Then we're going to start moving boulders around, doing a little more soil manipulation. Caesar is coming from Sun Valley today with some more plants. And hopefully by the end of the day, we will have all of these boulders where they want to go, our pathways clearly defined, and our soil manipulated the way we want it. Well, we've got quite a bit accomplished over the last few hours. Namely, all of the 10-ton of boulders have been staged, and as per usual, I could use more. And I'll probably have to grab a few more before we're done, mainly for shoring up areas where it's just a little too steep, and I don't want my top dressing rock rolling off. But no, ultimately, really, really happy. The pathways, they just, opened themselves right on up. Caesar from Sun Valley came with my Alobanzii, 3 Dazzlerian longissimums, and my 3 giant 25-gallon Echinocactus grusonii, or golden barrels. That aloe ferox that you see over there actually came out of the arrangement that we did 2 years ago, the first iteration in our son's garden. I knew it would get too big, but I also knew we were going to be doing more work in his yard. So I took it out of here. And then these Euphorbia millii were in the very back corner, and they really weren't getting enough sun. They are obviously alive, but not real happy. So I moved those here. We put a rock in the back corner because we discovered we really didn't need plants back there anyway. And that problem was solved. So this little guy is going to be able to own this area right here. And tomorrow we will have Waterwise come with the bulk of our plant material. I put Blonde Terry to work cleaning out this parking strip. This wasn't really part of the gig necessarily, but it was so scrubby looking that I knew that if we didn't do something, it was just going to be more of an eyesore when this beautiful thing was finished. So she pulled out the Mexican feathergrass, which is on the California invasive plant list. That feathergrass, that went. That little blue elf is doing smashing. I've got quite a few coming from Waterwise. We might pop a couple more of those in here. She was able to expose some old flagstones. And this blue chalk stick, Senecio, looks so much better since she pulled it off the sidewalk and even exposed more flagstone that were completely covered up by said Senecio. So yeah, what is this? Do we know? Even what it's suckers?
Suckers, yeah.
From this ugly tree. And then look at this fantastic irrigation fix here. We've got this riser tied to the tree with a string. So Greg will have to come over here and figure out what's going on there. But yeah, these are just suckers. We might be able to take the Sawzall and get these down lower. Love the sea lavender. It's fine. The asparagus fern, we got, the majority of that cut out, but that's just going to keep coming back, isn't it? We just have to deal with it. But all in all, just looks a lot cleaner and a lot prettier. Over here, we had a lot of real estate in this area, too much real estate. So we staged a few boulders to shrink the pathway a bit and lend some interest. This is, as I said, going to be more of a dialed in front yard. So we aren't going to be planting as densely as we typically would. And I want to, I want to have something. I don't just want a sea of top dressing rock. So The idea is that we will put weed fabric down in the pathways. And the idea behind that is, you know, just for mitigation. It's not going to mean they'll never see a weed, but it will help. And it'll also keep the tap dressing from sinking too far down into the soil. Tomorrow, after when Waterwise comes, Blonde Terry and I, well, really everybody will get busy blowing this out here. And it's going to mirror the initial installation over there. We've got a little challenging area right here that's sort of a nothing burger. And I was thinking that I might want to do some flagstone in there, but we might, you know, we'll see. Or we'll just top dress. But I think it would look better with a little stone. I definitely don't want to put any plants in that area. So Greg is still whack-a-moling away at the irrigation. And well, I mean, maybe not right this second, but he's been at it. Been at it again today. Think we have it pretty well under control. Yeah, yep. So tomorrow, hopefully Waterwise, if you're watching this, will be here on the early side and we can get going. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow because there's going to be a lot of plants. One thing also that I'd love for all of you to see, because it's so special, is this peak covered in snow. It's not Mount Baldy. Mount Baldy's behind it. But isn't that so pretty? Unreal. The weather today is pretty balmy, wouldn't you say? Maybe, it's kind of cold, but the sun is hot. Wait, that made no sense. It's kind of cold, but the sun is hot. Yeah, when you're in the sun, it's nice, and it's a beautiful day to be working in the garden. So thanks so much for following on this journey. This is going to be a really beautiful garden, a very simple garden, and I hope that you will all take a lot of inspiration from it. This has been Laura Eubanks reporting from Claremont, California with Team DFS and Day 1 and your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.